Happy Monday. It's the beginning of the week again. Wow. Mondays just keep coming around. I wonder why that is. Okay. Anyway, today I'm going over 3 more ballot items from my official general and special election ballot that I have already turned in and has already been counted. This is the paper copy of what I have voted for. And so this ballot is my vote. So each thing on here is my vote, my choice, my voice, just as everything you vote for is your vote, your choice, your voice. So I'm gonna jump right into it today and start off. So I have three things I'm going through today, 3 positions. Start off at the state Supreme Court level with justice position number 4, nonpartisan office, vote for 1. Charles W. Johnson. So I can choose to vote for this person or not. I did vote for this person, and I'll go over a little bit of why. So there's also, in Washington State, you can write in candidates. And so if you don't want to vote for someone, you don't have to vote. You don't have to vote for everything. I chose to vote for this person. And so this is Charles W. Johnson. So this is the entry in the Washington State General Election Voters pamphlet. And there were a couple of things that stood out to me. Under his other professional experience, he's an adjunct professor at Seattle University School of Law from 1995 to 2010, and currently professor emeritus. I like the adjunct professor role. Sometimes there are problems in academia, and sometimes professors can get just too sucked into the academia world, so having that kind of peripheral position of an adjunct professor I think is a good one, and it provides a unique perspective on the higher education ecosystem, so to speak. I really like his community service. It's diverse. Some of the things include longtime contributor to YMCA youth programs, county food banks, Rotary and Lions clubs, Washington Trails Association, and other similar charities, like the Washington Trails Association. I like being able to go out and go hiking through the mountains, and it's cool that he's contributed to helping maintain those trails. And so I'm going to read his statement. It's a little long. I'm going to do that for each of the people today. And so here we go. Justice Charles Johnson has proven he understands and protects our rights and freedoms. For over 29 years, his judicial record shows his commitment to protecting privacy rights and holding government accountable, coupled with his courage and ability to decide the difficult issues the court faces. Justice Johnson's record was evaluated by lawyer organizations and rated as exceptionally well qualified. His fairness, intellect, common sense, and impartiality are reflected by groups supporting his re-election, including Washington State Labor Council, Washington State Council of Firefighters, WEA-PAC, Mainstream Republicans, King County Young Democrats, Washington Federation of State Employees, and the Joint Council of Teamsters. The Legal Services Committee to the Armed Forces gave him a commendation for outstanding service for supporting a rule allowing military lawyers to be licensed in Washington to provide in-court representation to eligible low-income service members. We need Supreme Court justices like Justice Johnson with proven experience. Hard work and difficult challenges underscore his entire life. He worked as a laborer to pay for his education, and he understands the value of our time and money. A lifetime Washington resident, Justice Johnson and his wife Dana live in Gig Harbor. I've been to Gig Harbor. We visited there on a boat when I was a kid. And so I like that there's endurance here. And endurance is a very good thing. I feel like I haven't worked in the law. Or the legal system, so I don't know, but I think endurance would be a good thing. You got a lot of things one after another. It's kind of true for most things in life. So I like the endurance and diversity of his background and service, not just in his work. And so I voted for Charles W. Johnson for justice position number 4. The next item on the ballot is justice position number 6, unexpired 2-year term, nonpartisan office, vote for 1. So there's Richard S. Stearns and G. Helen Whitener. So I voted for Richard S. Stearns. And I voted for Richard S. Stearns. So this is Richard S. Stearns. And I voted for him. I really like his background. He's a superintendent of schools in the Winlock School District and an adjunct professor of school law. So I've already kind of touched on why I like the adjunct professor role. And I like the superintendent of schools, and I'm going to read his statement. And he covers some really good points. I've worked at the university level, and there are a lot of issues that come up in a university setting, or I'm going to guess before the university level as well, that are reflective of society as a whole too. And so they go on outside the university too. And so I like that he has that experience and he's bringing that diversity of mindset to this position. So his statement. Dr. Stearns' election to the Supreme Court will provide invaluable expertise in the important field of education law. After teaching Washington State history and government, Dr. Stearns worked as a K-12 principal and completed his PhD researching education law in Washington State. After completing his law degree from the University of Washington, he continued working with Washington School residents as Director of Employee Relations, Assistant Superintendent, and Superintendent. In these roles, Dr. Stearns worked with issues involving special education law, labor and employment law, individual rights and constitutional law, family law, Title IX, non-discrimination, harassment, and bullying law. He also taught school law at SPU, which stands for Seattle Pacific University. A valuable part of an appellate court is the varied backgrounds that each justice brings to the process of deliberation. As a school administrator working with a wide array of complex issues involving multiple stakeholders, Dr. Stearns has earned wide respect as someone who listens carefully, respects and honors the rights and interests of all parties, and acts with integrity and fairness. Because of his experience, his scholarship, his integrity, and his passion for justice and for supporting our most valuable resource, our children, please support Dr. Richard Stearns for State Supreme Court. And so I voted for him because there are a lot of problems in the education kind of system at large. So I've, in the United States, attended schools in Washington State, California, and Hawaii, outside the United States and South Africa. And yeah, there are some problems that need to be dealt with. And so I like that diversity of background. It brings something new. So that's kind of cool. At least that I read, it brings something new to the Washington State Supreme Court. So that's why I voted for Richard S. Stearns for justice position number 6. The third and final position, ballot item, is also a position at the state Supreme Court level that I'm covering today, is justice position number 7, nonpartisan office, vote for 1. There's one person listed here. It is Deborah L. Stevens. So I voted for Deborah L. Stevens. And one thing that caught my eye was under her community service. She's been a church deacon and elder. My mom was an elder. My dad was a deacon for brief periods at the Presbyterian church we went to growing up, or I went to growing up. We didn't grow up at the same time. And that is a huge commitment. So to see that in addition to her work experience, I commend her on that. Great job. And so there's another thing, and I'll read her statement, is that she's from Eastern Washington, and I believe it's important to have regional diversity on the state Supreme Court. So not just one side of the state, just the west side represented. We should have people from both sides, because Eastern Washington, there's a lot of farming that goes on there. The economy and the climate and the geology are diverse across the entire state and can be very accentuated contrast between the west and east side of the state. So I like the diversity she brings in a geographical or regional sense. So this is her statement. As Washington's Chief Justice, I am dedicated to upholding the rule of law in a fair and impartial manner. Courts are a critical branch of government where every person, regardless of circumstance, must be treated fairly with dignity and free from bias. In these challenging times, the fair administration of justice must withstand threats posed by the pandemic and increasing attempts to politicize courts. I work every day to maintain the independence and integrity of our courts, and I trust the people of Washington to elect judges who safeguard access to justice and respect the law. As the only current justice from Eastern Washington, I bring important perspectives to the court. As a former constitutional law professor, I respect legal traditions. As a parent and former school board chair, I understand how court decisions impact Washington families. My priorities this year included addressing the urgent and critical needs of the justice system during the pandemic, new protocols for remote court hearings, safe courthouse operations, and protection of public safety and the rights of the accused and incarcerated. I have always enjoyed broad, nonpartisan support, and I ask for your vote to continue serving you in upholding the rule of law. So I like the things she's focusing on, especially this focus on things that are relevant now with COVID-19 and making sure that the justice system and the courts still operate. That's great. Not that everything comes to a standstill. So I like that focus. Another reason why I voted for Deborah L. Stevens for justice position. Did I check? This is Deborah L. Stevens. So those are some of the reasons why I voted for her and the other people. It's not every single reason, but they're reasons why I voted for them. So Deborah L. Stevens for justice position number 7. So those are the 3 ballot items I'm covering today. There are 4 more that I will cover in my next session, part 8 of 8. We're almost there, and we're almost to the election. Over a week to go, the 3rd of November 2020, save the date. It's when results start being posted. I guess my ballot's been counted already. But yeah, so have a lovely rest of your Monday. I hope it is a fortuitous rest of your Monday.